Well, given recent political events, Brexit, President Trump, the UK election, it's clear there's no such thing as political certainty anymore. But why do we vote the way we do? I'm joined now by Dr. de-Wit, who's the author of a new book, What's Your Bias? The Surprising Science of Why We Vote the Way We Do. Voting, is it scientific?
Well, no, but we can certainly, as scientists, attempt to try and understand some of the reasons why people vote the way they do. And that research has revealed some surprising findings that if you identify on the left or on the right, there are broader things about your psychology that we can identify that might help us predict and understand why people vote the way they do.
All right, so if we take Brexit, 52 to 48 in favour of Brexit, what were the kind of perhaps hidden psychological forces behind that? We knew the big issue.
Yeah, so I think one big issue, which has actually been studied quite a lot more in the US, actually, particularly by a guy called Jonathan Haidt, is some of the moral values that we have on the left and the right. So he's been looking at the moral values.
You see it as a left-right thing, do you?
No, I don't necessarily. I don't. But it just happens to be the case that if you identify as more conservative, it happens to be the case that you have a broader sense of the importance of moral values like in-group loyalty. So Jonathan Haidt has been doing things in the States like asking people, is it okay to publicly bet against your favourite sports team? Now that's a completely non-political question, but it turns out conservatives are more likely to think that's really a moral issue, that that's a moral problem. And so this fits into a broader sort of picture of people who are more conservative or more right-wing caring more about in-group loyalty, not just in a political sense, but in a broader sense. And I think that's one of the reasons why people on the left struggle to understand, say, the importance of national identity, because we don't have this similar sort of intuitive sense of the importance of in-group loyalty. So, you know, Hillary Clinton dismissing Trump supporters as a basket of deplorables, you know, when they want to sort of make America great again, or Emily Thornberry's tweet of, you know, that Union Jack that was so controversial. You know, I think there's an intuitive lack of understanding on the left for the importance of in-group loyalty. That means we're not having meaningful conversations about this.
Do you think that's the case? I mean, if you apply that to Brexit, for example, there are some people whose group, if you like, their identity was British. There are other people, you know, one thinks of George Smiley at the end of John le Carré's new book, who described their identity as being European, and that would put them on either side of the mind. So it's not just who's less loyal, it's what you're loyal to.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes some of the science so fun interesting. That it's really looking at these complex interactions. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of younger voters, even if they did have a stronger sense of in-group loyalty, actually they probably had a stronger sense of European identity. So they might have, that value of in-group loyalty might have just been part of their European identity, not part of their British identity. But of course, you know, people have voted for different reasons, and immigration is obviously a big factor as well.
Now, how easy is it for political spin doctors to manipulate all this, to use the sort of psychological information you've got in here to get their wicked way?
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been thinking about quite a lot with the book, and it's one of the things that's obviously been quite worrying recently with a lot of the stories about companies like Cambridge Analytica using your activity on social media to try and profile you, to try and work out what sort of messages might you want to hear. And there's been a lot of talk about the Brexit campaign and Trump's campaign using that psychological profiling to identify voters. And so, you know, I think when you do get a sponsored message on Facebook that's telling you a particular message, I think you do need to ask yourself twice as to why you're being targeted in this way. And that's something that I want people to be more aware of.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Think twice. What's Your Bias? Is the book by Professor de-Wit. Thank you very much indeed. Well, that's all from All Out Politics for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we will be live at the Liberal Democrat Conference in Bournemouth, of course, previewing Vince Cable's last speech. And stay with Sky News for the latest on the Parsons Green attack arrests.